Hi guys, welcome back to RT Share Tea, where respiratory therapists live out loud. With me, your host, Linda Frott, the Asthma Lady. Yes, welcome everybody. Welcome to anyone new. I'm super excited because I have a new guest co-host. Yes, to 2024 lined up. Today I have Joe Lewis, better known as, no, also known as the Respiratory Coach. Hi, Joe. Okay, before I let Joe do his thing, I'm going to read his bio and just going to let him take over the show. Okay, in 2021, after 10 years of adult emergency and ICU experience, Joe Lewis began teaching full-time at the community college level. Throughout the years, Joe has pursued the endless task to adequately equip respiratory therapists with the knowledge, critical thinking skills, clinical application skills, as well as compassion, empathy, kindness needed to provide exceptional respiratory care services. Yes, you can find Joe's teaching, leadership, and inspiration on YouTube and various social media platforms at Respiratory Coach. Hi, Joe. Happy to have you.
I'm so
Thank
glad to
you.
be here. I love watching the Asthma Lady and your wonderful podcast you do. So it's an honor to be here as a co-host with you here today. So thank you very much.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you. All right. So, Joe, I ask everyone that comes on, I have my story, all the RTs have their story. So, what got you into the RT profession? What made you say yes to respiratory?
It's a great question. I was 19 years old, and I'm going to share this with the world right now, maybe for the first time ever. I graduated high school, went to Texas A&M University, and lasted there exactly 2 semesters until I failed out. A huge disappointment for my parents. And who wants to, let your parents down? But it happened. And I was honestly 19 years old, lost, had no direction, nothing new. Like most 19-year-olds, I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I found myself one evening in a conversation with two older gentlemen. To me, they were much older,
Okay.
and now I'm their age. So I realized they weren't as old as I thought they were. But one of them was a respiratory therapist,
Okay.
and he asked me, he said, "Hey, have you ever thought about working in healthcare?" And I said, "I don't think I have." And he said, "Well, I'm a
Mhm.
respiratory therapist, and is there any interest?" And he told me a little bit about what they do and stuff. I was like, "That sounds cool."
Okay.
And he said, "My sister is also a respiratory therapist, and she's
Nice.
actually working on shift tomorrow night. Would you like to go shadow?"
Oh, nice.
And I said, "Yeah, I would love to." And I went and shadowed, and I think that was probably the first time that I could remember. I grew up around going to a lot of funerals as a kid,
Wow.
uh, but not a lot of hospitals. And so I don't even know if I can think of a hospital visit that I ever went to
Hmm.
uh, prior to this time. And I set foot in. I met this lady, the RT for that shift,
Okay.
and I didn't even know if I was dressed appropriately. I mean, I was in the worst outfit you could imagine, right? I mean, this is the '90s
Right.
to the hilt,
You're
right?
19, you know.
It was so bad. And anyways, I found myself in a pediatric intensive care following this person around, watching her do stuff. I had no idea what she was doing. But
Okay.
I'll tell you what grabbed me was from the moment I set foot in that hospital and in that ICU and just could feel the suffering that was happening. I knew
Hmm.
I was where I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I left there on an insane high, like this is what I want to
What
do. I
a-
didn't even know what an RT was still. I mean,
Right.
I just followed one, but I still didn't even know what I was getting into. And I went back home and I filled out my application. This was on a Thursday. Friday morning, I went to the school, Amarillo College, submitted my application, and at Friday about 12:30, met with the director of clinical education
Wow.
and was accepted into their final spot of their program that made 24 of
Got the
24.
last spot. Look at
I got
that.
the last spot, and I've never looked back since then. And so yeah, that's how I
It's
got
a
into it.
good memory, Joe. You remember the date and the time and everything.
I don't remember the date, but I remember the time. I remember sitting there and thinking I was hungry because it was lunchtime. And at 12:30, I get called in the office, and he was like, "Well, congratulations. If you want to do this, you're accepted as the 24th spot, and that's the last one." And that changed the course of my life. And I'm always in debt to that individual who accepted me on that day and taught me what I know about respiratory therapy, at least my base foundation, to get me started. But I like to
Right.
say, like a lot of people don't find respiratory therapy.
It's a
I think
fact.
respiratory therapy finds people.
Correct. It's so like the more people I have on and I hear the stories, it's so true. Everyone kind of stumbled upon it, or
Yeah.
it just like I saw a sign on the door and I was like, it
Yeah.
said, "Do you have asthma?" I was like, "I do have asthma." I was like, not even knowing anything about ventilators or anything
Right.
like that. And I read the sign and it said, "Do you like to help people?" I like to help people. And and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I have to see what this is. Stumbled
Yeah.
upon it.
Yeah. Well, we got to change that narrative, though. We got to find a
I
way to get people to seek it out as a profession instead of
read.
just waiting people to stumble into it. We got a massive shortage nationwide, and we as a profession, and I'm talking about everybody, we all got to come together and make this thing cool.
Correct.
And
I totally agree. We are speaking the same language, and that's
yeah,
why I like the direction that the AARC are now
yep,
going in, the NBRC, because it's true. It's all of us though. We can't just
right,
let them do it. The way even what we're doing on social
right,
media and just making it seen out there, because there are I know a lot of kids that are young, sitting on the couch, not knowing what they're going to do. And I'm talking about people in their 20s, okay?
exactly.
Using mom's money, don't know
Yeah,
what to do. And I'm like, if you're not scared of some blood and some mucus, I mean, come over here. Why not?
yeah. It's as simple as this. I was traveling I was in Connecticut this past week, and I met this waitress, and she was friendly. You could tell she cared about people.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to talking, and she revealed to me she was I think she was like 41 years old. And
Okay.
I asked her, I said, "Have you ever thought?" She was like, "I don't know what I want to do. I've been doing this for." She had been waitressing at this restaurant for, I think, the last, I don't know, 13 or 15 years. And she was like, "And I just don't. I know I don't want to do this forever, but I don't know
Right.
what to do." She already has a psychology degree. And I said,
Okay.
"Well, have you ever thought about respiratory therapy or another health science program?"
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got all the skills, and what she had the most, more than anything else, is the care and the kindness,
Correct. That's what
and she was like, "I'm too old." And I said, "Girl, get out
no,
of
you
here.
are
You're not
not.
too old to do anything, right?" And so we have to start talking to these people. When you see these people, I went through a Whataburger drive through the other day and got some breakfast, and the guy at the window was so kind and outgoing and personable. I was like, we need him in respiratory therapy.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
you
Yeah.
just have to let them know that it's there.
Correct, correct. I love it. That's what when I saw, like when I see stories about respiratory therapists, I remember when the football player, he
Yep.
went into cardiac arrest
Yep.
last year, and that story, and it was like respiratory therapists were on the field. I took
Right.
that story and I sent it everywhere because I want people to know what this profession is about, good vibes, and letting them know, like, listen, we're everywhere. We're on the football
Yeah.
field. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, me neither. You're exactly right. So, yeah, it's more awareness, and make it cool. Make it cool again.
Come on. Like, hello. It
So
doesn't
we
have
got
to
to get.
be like, look at you and look at me. Like, hello.
Yeah,
We out here chilling, but we know how to do the profession
that's
and
right.
make it look good. I mean, have a good
That's
time.
exactly right. That's it. That's it. That's the name of the game.
Joe, okay, so all right. Now, what motivated you to become an entrepreneur? You are a true respiratory therapist and an entrepreneur. RTpreneur. What
All right.
got you?
First of all, I love that coin, RTpreneur.
Right.
So
Thank you.
it's kind of weird because uh, it kind of was an accident, but it kind of wasn't, because I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. I mean, when I go back to my
Mhm.
kids, I mean, I was
Yeah.
always my childhood days, I was always flipping things to make money.
Me too.
Um, it was just, I've always had a kind of a business mindset, and
Mhm.
always a desire to create something that is my own. And so that's always been built inside of me. And for years, I would try to ignore it. I'm just going to do this. I'm just happy here. I can do this for another 22 years,
Mm-hmm.
and just be okay. But I would wake up in the middle of the night sometimes just going, there's something bigger.
It's
There's something
more.
more.
I feel it.
And
Feel intuition. You feel it.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And so I made a switch from one college to another. And when I went to that second college, this is how it all got started.
Okay.
The students were asking me to help them with different learning processes, right?
Okay.
And I was just their clinical instructor, and I don't say just to minimize that. I'm saying I wasn't in the didactic classroom, right? So they
Gotcha.
were bringing all these classroom concepts to me in the clinic setting, and I would teach them. And then the next day I would get a new group and I would have to teach them. And then the next day I would get a new group and they would say, hey, you know that thing you did with the other group? Will you do that with us? And I found myself spending a lot of time reteaching the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah.
And it took time to do that. And it was time I was glad to give the students, but at the same time, I realized there had to be a more effective way. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's when I said, you know what? You bring the question to me, and I'm going to put a YouTube on it, and y'all can get it all. Y'all get it whenever
Mm-hmm.
y'all want it. You can watch it multiple times,
Nice.
but I'm not going to be repeating this, 8 times in 2 weeks. Like I'm going to do it once, and now you have it. And so that's where the YouTube channel started,
Okay.
and then it kind of took off. In the first year, I hit a thousand subscribers about 10 months after launching the
That's
YouTube channel.
huh.
And I started getting
Impressive.
questions. And and my wife laughs at me. She's like, Joe, what are you doing? Like she thought I was wasting my time. And I was like, I think this is
I
something
think
that's needed.
I hit something here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said, I think this is something that's not really out here and something that I've got a skill set for. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding that my reach is now larger. And I was excited about my larger reach because
Okay.
instead of impacting 14 students in the classroom, I was now impacting 1,000
Thousands.
students
Yeah.
across the country. And anyways, it kept growing and kept growing and kept growing. And then of course COVID hit and everybody went to virtual,
Oh,
and that's when it landed on me that there's something that people are looking for that's not already out there. And that's
right.
when I went all in on the virtual education world.
Nice. I mean, so necessary. Um, I think, and I totally can relate now that I'm teaching, right? I'm like a new
Yeah.
adjunct professor world. I
Nice.
definitely
Congratulations.
need to talk to you offline. I need like a coupon code. I'm gonna send some kids to you because I cannot repeat. I can't, Joe. But we'll talk about that later.
I got you.
But yes, so necessary and so innovative. Just knowing that there was a demand for it. You were ahead, right? And you listened to the
Yeah.
intuition, even though wifey was like, what you doing? This is like sometimes the spouses it can be like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
um I have a supportive husband at home as well, but it usually starts off like that. You want
Oh,
to
100%.
do so
Yeah. Yeah. She's very supportive now, but in the early stages, and she just revealed to me just the other day, I've got some exciting news that I can't share yet, but some exciting news coming out in the next couple of weeks that she she said, okay. She said, okay, now
I get
I,
it.
I have to admit I doubted it for a fair portion of time, but I'm proud of you and what's happening here. So, anyways, exciting stuff, and yeah, that's how it all happened.
I mean, I love that. And it's always a blessing to have a spouse that they are just like, you know what, I'm along for the ride. And
Yeah.
I love it. And with that being said, segue to that because
Yeah.
how do you balance the demands of family with entrepreneurship and everything you have going on, you know?
Yeah, that's a good question. For me, I've had to learn to shut it down. So when my family gets home in the early evening, late afternoon, whatever, however you want to look at it, I shut it down. I'm not up here creating content or working on anything after they get here. So I pretty much know from the time they leave in the morning,
Right.
about 6:30 till about 4:30, that's the time I got to get everything done.
Right.
And and that's just the way I work. I didn't always work like that, but I adapted, and I think that's the most important thing is when you find yourself being stretched too thin, then
Yes.
you're doing too much, and you need to listen to that intuition also and
Yes.
say, I gotta find these boundaries, and so that's an easy boundary that I follow. Beyond that,
I agree.
over the last year, I've started traveling a lot more, and
Okay.
so
I
I have
noticed.
very
Me too.
yeah. So I have very strict rules when I travel, and that
Okay.
is that they never exceed more than 2 nights a week.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying that that can't be pushed a couple of times a year, but for the
Right.
most part,
Play
if
by
I
ear.
leave on a Monday, I'm back on a Wednesday, and I utilize technology. I utilize FaceTime and
Right.
Instagram messaging and all the different visuals that I can to call my wife, my kids, my parents, and everybody. To even when I'm on the road, I
Okay.
have a couple of business partners that they said, Joe, you're always talking to your family. That's how I balance it.
Right. You're
I
supposed
just
to.
don't leave for 2 days and say see you on Wednesday, and you're not going to hear from me from 2 days. Even when I'm on the road, I'm still communicating with them every time I'm in an Uber, every time I'm on a break, every night. We do our night routine. We just do it in a different manner. So,
Excellent. Excellent.
it's just being intentional in realizing that
Yes.
what you're doing is important, but it's not more important
Then
than the
family.
people that you're doing it for.
Correct. Correct. I totally, totally agree because I also had to figure out that balance, especially as a mom. I don't know how old your kid is, but your kids are, but I have a 2-year-old and I had to really figure out
Yeah.
just how to navigate
Right.
in in wearing all these hats and
Yeah.
wearing when to transition the hats, and then of course you have to pencil time for yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, so the entrepreneur space, I love it. But you definitely have to figure out the time management. I
Absolutely.
definitely had to learn that, you know?
And another just a little sidebar to that, because you said all the different hats, because like you, I wear a lot of different hats also. And sometimes you have to realize when it's time to hang a hat up.
You understand what I'm saying?
So sometimes you realize like,
Yeah,
okay, this
I can't
hat,
all the hats.
it was good while I wore it. It kept the
Right.
sun out of my eyes, but now it's time to put that hat away
Yes, and
because
not be afraid. Like you
yeah,
just I feel like there's a time for everything.
yeah,
There's eventually a time. And I've said this too before on different episodes of my podcast and with others. There might be a time where I no longer need to be the asthma lady. Like
yeah,
and that's fine. It's
yeah, yeah,
just not being afraid to embrace new things and just learn how
yeah,
to shift, pivot
yeah.
if you have.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
100%. I mean,
This was good.
I look forward to the next respiratory coach coming along and and welcome that, because I'm not going to be, we're not going to be here forever. So there's going to become a time. And I think the most important element of that is being aware of when that time is. My
Okay.
friends know, they know when they look at me and they go, Joe, it's time to hang it up. They know that they come to me and say, Joe, it's time to hang it up.
You understand what I'm
Because,
saying? And
sometimes you can hang on to stuff for too long.
I, I love that because it's true, and for me, when a door opens for me, I try to not let it be a door only for me. It's like if
Right.
I could get someone else through the door too, it's like because I know it can't just be me. You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Right.
I'm for it. I'm for it.
Right.
People will ask me, "Hey, Linda, I want to start a podcast and I want to do this." I encourage folk, go
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
Do your heart's desire. Go for it. I love it. And I love just seeing diversity and women, and
Yeah.
then there's folks like you, just all of these different flavors. That's what I call it.
100%.
I love
It's
it,
fun to
love it.
see.
Yes, we do it good. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Good, good, good.
So thank you. So yeah, so what strategies do you use to stay informed in advancements in both respiratory therapy and entrepreneurships? Like because I know, like you said, you do all of, you work with students. So how do you yourself stay on top of everything with things are changing so fast? You understand?
Well, for the regulatory side of things and education side of things, primarily in the student world, even though things are moving fast, but the TMC content outline for success on that exam to become an RT, it does not change every year. And
Okay.
so, that there's some consistency in that from that perspective. Now, when you start talking about evidence-based practices and stuff like that,
Right.
look, you just got to stay up on it. And that's,
Correct.
you get this question a lot, but how do you stay up on it? You just have to intentionally read the evidence that's coming out. Anytime something catches my ear, I mean, think about lung ultrasound. You
Right.
got two options here. You can be the RT that says, I didn't go to school
Oh,
to be an ultrasound tech,
right.
or you can be the RT that
Like,
says, this is coming and we
mm-hmm.
can't stop it, and I'm gonna become the expert in it. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's really what you have to do. You just have to
I
say,
Go
it's
ahead.
coming. And so nothing stays the same forever and nothing lasts forever. And so you might as well just be abreast of the information and the knowledge that's coming down the research pipeline. And it's also fun to get to know some of these people. Dr. Brady Scott, a big researcher in the world of respiratory therapy.
I like Brady.
It's fun to see his work. One, because I like the content of his work, but it's also somebody I consider a friend. And I go, if my
Brady
best friend
cool.
was to write an article, I would read it. And
Mm-hmm.
so
He's funny.
the more you infuse yourself, and this is really all it comes down to, the more you infuse yourself with your work, it's not work to stay on top of what's new because you're excited about it and you want to
Correct.
know,
You love right. So it's almost like you don't have to pull teeth to do it. It's like, oh, so
No,
what's going on with the asthma stuff for me like that too?
yeah,
When I see something new, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I learned
yeah,
something new. And I am a sharing is caring person. So I also
right,
share. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
look, this is something new out here and spread it to everyone. If
right,
especially if I know if
right,
it's useful.
yeah, 100%.
I love that. And I think
Yeah,
career wise, I think this is sometimes why some people get stuck, you know what I'm saying? Because they're set in their ways and they're like, I've been doing this for 30 years, 40 years, and they don't want to hear the new stuff. I was like, oh, and it's
right,
like, that's why, there might be some unhappiness or, yeah, they just feel stuck. But it's like, if you just saw it in a different light and it's like this stuff is coming, it's like you can't
right,
stop it.
yeah,
Why don't I just learn and become the expert?
yeah,
Hello.
100%. I mean, that's what it all. I'll just throw it in here real quick. I think people get stuck because they stop learning, and what people here's what needs to here's in my opinion one of the thing that's missing is that it's the excitement of learning and having conversations related around the complex issues of respiratory therapy. I mean, I spend my days working here in my studio and creating content. But
Right.
believe me, there's multiple times throughout the day where I get on a 30-minute, 40-minute, hour-long phone call with, Hunter Hicks, Teresa Grego, JJ Valdez, Stacy Cutts. Just the list could go on and on and on
Right.
for other RTs. And we just talk about things, and the amount of knowledge I gain from hearing another person's perspective is
Yes.
insane.
And
And I learned something from every single one of those conversations, and I love having them. And it's because we're talking about them. We don't talk about last night's episode of whatever show is. I don't even know what's on TV anymore.
I don't have time to watch
I
TV.
don't exactly, you know, but you go to break rooms across the country, and the conversation is about whatever's on the TV station. That TV should be turned off and thrown away, and the conversation should turn to complex issues related to respiratory therapy,
I'm
and
telling
just talk. And when you do that, it's because you love it so much. That's what it is. You talk about what you love, and I love it so much that I can sit here and talk all day.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just there is an excitement when you know that that you shine, that
Yeah,
you enjoy something. It's once again, it's not hard. It's like,
exactly. It's not at all.
I can keep doing this. It's because I enjoy it. I am enthusiastic. And oftentimes I've said this before, people call me the asthma lady, not because I know everything about asthma.
Right.
It's not possible because the information, like we said, everything new,
Sure.
something new like every 5 minutes. But it's the vibe people feel when they
Yeah.
talk to me, when they meet me, how excited I am. I literally feel like, especially in the community, in high risk communities, I feel like I'm saving your life with what
Yeah.
I'm telling you. And
Yeah.
I want you to receive this information and they can see this empathy, this passion and yeah, I'm excited to be there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's and it's for me, this is what's helped me in my career.
Right.
Just being able to pick jobs and assignments that align with my mission. And
Right.
this is how
Right.
to be how you do it. Pick something you like, you know, a subspecialty within the field. There's so many people
Right.
just be so stuck. They feel stuck in like if they're in an acute care setting and not happy. I'm like, well,
Right.
there are other things you can do.
Yeah. 100%.
Hello.
So yeah, yeah, do find something else that excites you and intrigues you and dive into it with all and the impact that you have on other people and through these conversations. Sometimes it may seem small to us, but I mean, we can impact so many people without even knowing it, just by talking about it and talking with each other, collaborating more with other disciplines to
Yeah.
reignite that flame that people feel like maybe has diminished. Or I mean, I get messages all the time from people that just say, man, I just feel stuck, I feel burnout, I feel
All
I
the
feel
time,
something.
Joe. All the
And I
time.
tell them to dive in further. I say, call me once a day, I promise you won't feel stuck long.
Do you understand what I'm
Because
saying? Me too. I'm here, and that's why I do this. I'm
right,
here to inspire people. Like I want to share these perspectives because it's true.
right,
It's not, it's gonna keep us in the same place if we keep hearing from the same people, the
yeah,
same, just we need to, especially with respiratory, we come in all shapes and
yeah,
sizes. We're all over the country. We do different things, and it's just impactful to hear all the different perspectives. And
yeah,
so
well,
that's why I continue to
100%.
do stuff like this.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, 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 yes. Joe, we are speaking the same language. Yes.
That's it. That's it. Love what we do. It's easier to speak the same language when you love what you do.
Yes, 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 yes. And so that's why I love these segments with the guest co-hosts and just people who are owning their careers. And that's
Yeah.
why I continue to do this because I tell folks, own it. Like it's not about your supervisor hating who you are. It's not about you know, people hating on you. These things do happen, but just take control of your career. Like own it, make conscious decisions.
100%. That's it.
Yes. Okay. We doing good, Joe. Finally, so what message do you have for our listeners, with those, especially those wanting to blend the healthcare expertise with entrepreneurship?
So, first of all, it comes down to having a vision. What's your goal? And if you're trying to step out into this RTpreneurship world and you want to start creating either content or YouTube or a podcast or whatever it is, or all of the above,
Mhm.
a newsletter. I mean, whatever it is you want to do and
Oh,
however you want to do it, you got to have a vision for what it is, right? Because without
yeah.
a vision and without goals, you can very easily be torn from
Lord.
side to side and lose your
Correct.
way very, very quickly. It's happened to me multiple times over the past 5 years where I have to
Huh?
realign with what my vision is.
Yes.
Because you
Reassert.
will attempt to get pulled out of it. And then once you have that, I really believe the most important thing is finding a way to be consistent with it.
Yes.
I've shared tips and tricks on starting a YouTube channel with multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is that my tips and tricks apparently aren't very good because none of those channels have actually become into existence and still active today. So the whole goal here is you have, if you want to do it, you have to dedicate yourself to
You
it.
have to do it.
And
I tell
that's it.
people, do it. Do it.
So I think what the real undertone here is that people think entrepreneurship is some glamorous lifestyle
Mm-mm.
that, oh, you just get to sit around all day and just
No,
post a little
sir.
piece of content here and there. And that's really not what it is at all. I mean, I'm
Not at all.
working every day, all day long, um, to stay up with the multiple tasks that I have in my entrepreneurship role, at RTpreneurship role. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's not easy.
It's not.
And I think that's where that feeling starts with, is like, oh, I like that. That looks fun. I could do that. And what I want you to know is hey, you can do it.
You can.
Anybody can. But don't do it because you think it's easy, because
Correct.
that is not the truth. It is hard work. It's dedicated time. When you see a 15-minute clip and you're like, oh, look at that.
Okay.
Believe me, that 15-minute clip was
Uh,
not a 15-second clip or a 15-minute YouTube.
mm-hmm.
You didn't see all the work that went
You
into
didn't.
that clip. And it's a lot. And so you really have to be dedicated and consistent and
Yeah.
persistent, and ignore the haters.
Huh. Okay. Like,
It doesn't matter what you do or how good you
it
do it.
doesn't.
Somebody's going to have something
Somebody
tacky to
gonna
say.
find something, gonna say something,
Yeah.
ignore.
I just tell them thank you every
I
single
say
time. I get all,
thank you for
yeah.
participating. Thank you for your
Yeah.
feedback. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Because they're
understand.
just
You
looking to pick a
learned.
fight. Yeah, that's right. They want you to crack. They want you. Everybody feels like who they see in the social media world is not who that person really is. So some of these hate comments that come your way, they're trying to expose you, to show how tacky you can actually be in a
Yeah.
negative response. And just don't even play that game. Just let
I,
it go.
I don't have the time to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Joe,
Yeah.
I love it. Listen,
Yeah.
this is first of all, I feel like everybody in the world knows you already in this space. But please, this is your chance to plug away. Please plug. What do you have coming on? Where can we find you? What you got new? Plug, plug, plug.
2024 is going to be an exciting year for me. I'm working on several new digital products to help continue to support students along their journey to becoming an RRT.
Oh,
I'm working more in the education realm, out and about the country, working with critical transport teams and nurses and different disciplines to help increase the awareness of mechanical ventilation and importance of understanding mechanical ventilation. Because let's be honest here, as an RT, your vision can be blurred because you think the only people that are receiving mechanical ventilation are in places that have RTs, and that's simply not the truth. There's a lot of people right this second in the air somewhere, in the back of an ambulance somewhere, in some facility somewhere in rural America that has a mechanical ventilator that's running without an RT in that room. And those patients deserve quality management and care just like everybody else does. So a lot of exciting stuff happening around that. And then finally, you can find me at, I'll get out of the way here,
yes.
Respiratory Coach on YouTube, Instagram at Respiratory Coach, TikTok at Respiratory Coach, and then at Joe Lewis on LinkedIn. And then always feel free to send
That's
me
the
an email at
Gmail. I am
respiratorycoach@gmail.com.
definitely going to put everything in the description. I will be plugging some students to you because I'm telling you, we'll figure something out. But thank you. We're running out
I'm
of
sorry, real
time,
quick.
but
Can I just
I
say one
love
more
this,
thing?
Joe. Go ahead.
One more quick 10 seconds here.
Go
If I
ahead.
can make one selfish plug for anything, I just want to tell people to care.
Care.
Care
Yes.
and kindness.
Care. Guys, oh my God. Joe, thank you so much for being here with us. Guys, thank you as always for being here, for tuning in. Remember, we are here every Wednesday on most podcast platforms and every Thursday on YouTube. Remember to invest in yourself and to only compete with yesterday's version of you. I will see you next time. Thank you, Joe.